started a company called Irie Bliss in 2015. I've been working in the hemp and cannabis space since before we were really allowed to talk about working in the hemp and cannabis space. I have just recently opened my second brick and mortar shop. I am a wellness coach and a business coach, so I'm working as a consultant here today trying to help small to medium-sized businesses who are interested in putting CBD in their products. Currently, I have a licensed and insured facility in the state of Connecticut where we make our gummies, our capsules, our topicals, our lotions, everything in Connecticut. I source my hemp from New England, from Massachusetts, Maine, and Vermont. I believe in sourcing my ingredients as close to home as possible. I'm very much the farmer's market brand. So a few things that we're going to cover today are the endocannabinoid system, which is of course the system in our body that binds to these beautiful cannabinoids that we're putting in our products. We're going to go over the difference between CBD and THC. We'll touch a little bit upon the other minor cannabinoids that end up in our products. I'm going to cover bioavailability, delivery methods, and why that matters when you're choosing a CBD product. We'll talk about the difference between full spectrum, broad spectrum, and isolate CBD. Of course, we're going to touch upon terpenes and a little bit about my private and white label opportunities. Okay. Yes, I can hook you up with the presentation afterwards. So this is the type of thing that I do in Massachusetts. I do home parties and I do educational talks at places such as pain clinics and birthday parties. I'm finding there's a lot of ladies who make the decisions about healthcare in their family who really want alternative natural options for their family. So that's where I come in. I teach people about this endocannabinoid system. The endocannabinoid system isn't even really taught in medical school. Essentially, it's a regulatory pathway that kind of lives behind the scenes of all other 11 organ systems. I call this the receptor man. Receptor man is to show you all the receptor sites throughout your central nervous system. You can find Cb1 and Cb2 receptors in your peripheral nervous system, in your skeletal system, in your respiratory, digestive, urinary, literally all of your organ systems. Every cell in your body has receptors that want to bind to cannabinoids. Okay, so I like to think of the endocannabinoid system as literally a bridge between the mind and the body. It's a system that keeps your body in homeostasis. A lot of ailments like Crohn's disease, fibromyalgia, they are actually endocannabinoid deficiency syndromes. Once you start feeding the system in your body, the amount of balance and healing that will take place is just miraculous. So the Cb1 and Cb2 receptors. The Cb1 receptors are primarily located in the brain, the nervous system, the lungs, the kidneys. Cb2 receptors are found in the cardiovascular system, the gastrointestinal system, and in your immune system. So again, we need to feed the gut, the mind-brain connection. You have to feed the gut to help feed the rest of your nervous system, immune system. So basically these receptors are here because we endogenously produce cannabinoids. So when you run, you've heard of the runner's high. We produce anandamide, which is the bliss molecule, and 2-AG. And these cannabinoids are even found in breast milk. They're literally the first substance that we feed our children, our cannabinoids that we produce. Now, as we get older, we stop producing cannabinoids, just like we stop producing a lot of hormones and a lot of other things that we need as we get older. So what we need to do is supplement from plants. So there's phytonutrients and there's the endogenous cannabinoids, and they're identical. The phytonutrients that we get from these plants, it's like a key that just binds to the receptors in our bodies, again, to help maintain homeostasis. Okay, so what is the major difference between cannabidiol or CBD and THC? The number one difference is that CBD is what I call non-impairing. I don't like to say it's not psychoactive because I do believe even coffee can be psychoactive. I believe that we need this cannabidiol to help with mood enhancing, and also it's very calming to the central nervous system, so really pain, inflammation, and sleep are the #1 issues that people come to me to find out about CBD for. THC, on the other hand, is also as abundant, if not more abundant, in medical cannabis. It is psychoactive. It can be thought to be euphoric. However, if you take too much of it, it can be the exact opposite of euphoric. It can actually be downright paranoid-inducing and not very much fun. And what people do need to understand is that if you take too many THC edibles and then you take a CBD edible, you will actually counteract that unwanted feeling of being high. So I call CBD Narcan for THC overdose with some of my clients, because I mean, right now with all the dispensaries opening up, it's very easy for somebody to overdose on cannabis. Luckily, nobody has ever died from taking too much cannabis. The other major or minor cannabinoids that you're going to hear a lot about at this show, CBG, which is being called the mother cannabinoid. It's where all the other cannabinoids come from. It's great for inflammation. CBN is a cannabinoid that's known to help with anxiety and sleep. CBC, THCA, all of these cannabinoids are going to be great for inflammation. And there's a lot of research being done. One of my favorite websites to learn about the latest research is projectcbd.org. Published medical science. All the journals are there. Okay, so what is bioavailability and delivery methods? So bioavailability is the amount of a substance or medicine that enters the bloodstream and then it becomes usable in the body. So there's many ways that you can take cannabinoids into your system. Probably the most popular is the sublingual method. Mostly it's because this is one of the more fast-acting ways to take cannabinoids into your system. So I advise my clients, you cannot hold the oil under your tongue too long. We want you having the oil in your mouth for at least 30 seconds, up to 3 minutes. If you can stomach it, the longer you hold it there, the more you're going to absorb it into your bloodstream. Probably the most fun way to ingest cannabinoids is through edibles. You'll see at the show today, gummies are very, very, very popular, especially with older folks. Cannabinoids are not water soluble, they're fat soluble. So that's why we put the cannabinoids in an oil-based tincture, or we put the gelatin in the gummies. It really helps as a vehicle of fat to carry the cannabinoids to your liver. And so, yeah, so the edibles, we do always advise people to take edibles within 30 minutes of eating a nice high-quality saturated fat. That is going to increase the absorption rate up to 14 times. So very, very important to take your cannabinoids with food. Other very, very popular delivery methods are the topical method. Now I call this the gateway product. Topicals are the easiest thing to convince people to try. When you rub a CBD topical or a THC topical onto your skin, you're going to feel the effects within 5 or 10 minutes. We will also enhance our topicals with things like arnica, eucalyptus, wintergreen, other essential oils really work in synergy with the CBD to help our bodies absorb medicine. Suppositories have become a very popular delivery method in my practice. People don't realize that your rectum is on the same meridian line as your lungs. So if you are fighting lung cancer, folks, I recommend to target it from both ways. So you can also use suppositories vaginally, of course, for endometriosis, for fibroids, for pre-encounter lubrication. CBD is anti-inflammatory. It helps during sexual intercourse with inflammation. When people have vaginal dryness and have issues with friction, it can really help with that as well. And then, of course, inhalation. You can dab CBD, you can smoke CBD, you can vape CBD. I'm a big fan of full flower, of smoking the actual plant versus mixing it with other, terpenes to vape. I'm not a big vape proponent. However, when you inhale the cannabinoids into your lungs, you are going to absorb the most amount of cannabinoids out of any delivery method. Inhaling is also an expectorant. I know it's kind of counterintuitive to smoke medicine, but I can assure you as a medical cannabis patient of now 13 years, it's my go-to because it does work the fastest. So when you're considering, which type of product to bring into either your practice, your business, or into your body, you really just have to think about personal preference. How are you going to actually get the medicine in you? It's not going to do you any good to purchase it and then not take it because you don't like the taste of it. So this is where the gum and the candies, obviously are one of the easiest ways to take it in. But I don't always recommend sugar for conditions such as cancer. So really thinking about the client, what their goal is, what symptoms they're having will really help you figure out what type of CBD is best for them. You always want to consider if you're on other medications. You always want to advise your clients to speak with their doctor. I have seen many clients completely completely eliminate, if not reduce, lots of different medications, especially relating to blood pressure. When you start using cannabinoids, your blood pressure will naturally lower. So you really have to monitor a lot of these medications and make sure you're reducing them or not taking CBD at the same time as your medication. Spread it out. When I have folks that are on 4 or 5 different medications, I always say, please take your CBD at your next meal. Take your medication first, because CBD can actually temporarily shut off the cytochrome P450 enzyme, which is the enzyme that helps your body break down medication. So you got to be careful with that one. Some other really popular ways to take in CBD that's kind of relatively new are inhalers and nasal sprays. So, for people with sinus infections or allergies, it's a really nice, almost like addition to a neti pot or a nasal rinse. Let's see, with capsules, it's the same thing. We recommend that you take capsules with food. But yeah, if you come see me at booth 3035, I can go over all the different types of products that you can put CBD in. Now, what is CBD being explored for? Stress, anxiety, depression, mood enhancing, skin issues, everything from building bone density. I mean, I've heard stories of having, people with a sprained ankle and they'll use the CBD topically on a sprain, and it just does seem to help everything recover a lot faster. It's quite miraculous. I also help a lot of, as a wellness coach, I help a lot of parents whose children are struggling with, ADHD, living with autism, and it's amazing to me to see how the cannabinoids really help people's nervous system just come to a place where they can receive their other services. They're a lot more open to their occupational therapy or their other types of talk therapies. So I'm the mom that's like, cannabis is for kids too. Of course, CBD, and that's why you really want to look at the difference between full spectrum, broad spectrum, and isolate when you're dealing with anybody who is, underage, who we might have to worry about failing a drug test. We would recommend a broad spectrum. But let's start with full spectrum. So full spectrum is going to have all of the beautiful phytonutrients, almost as if you took the plant and juiced it, kept it whole. We like the low and slow methods of extraction that keep the terpenes intact. Terpenes are very volatile and they will start to evaporate at like 90 degrees. But basically you want to look for a full spectrum that has the legal limit of THC in it, which is 0.3%. The flavonoids are also great antioxidants. They fight free radicals. Terpenes, we're going to get into in a little bit more detail in a minute, but they're essentially responsible for what give all plants and flowers their scent and their flavors. And yes, the entourage effect. The entourage effect is the idea that when you keep a plant whole in its natural form, it's going to work better in the body. The entourage is the beautiful combination of all of the plant components kept together and whole. So now the next, as you can see, the THC just kind of disappeared there. So with a broad spectrum, it's the exact same profile. We just have to take the THC out. So what we do when we take the THC out is we'll often enhance it with other things like vitamins or other terpenes to kind of help with the entourage effect without the THC there. So this is a great choice for pets. All mammals have an endocannabinoid system, and dogs in particular have a very sensitive one. So you do not want to give dogs THC. However, CBD in their system for bad hips and for cancer and for nervousness, I've actually seen humans start taking CBD because it works so well for their dog. So really broad spectrum is a great choice for pets, for children, and anybody that's really worried about failing a drug test. And then we have isolate products. So now a CBD isolate, I wish I had brought a jar of it. It looks just like a white powdery drug. It literally is just a CBD molecule extracted from the plant. You can smoke it, you can mix it into food. It's basically, studies are showing only effective in doses up to 25 milligrams at a time. So if anybody's on an isolate product, I usually recommend that they do up to 25 milligrams 2 to 3 times a day. But you wouldn't take like multiple 25 milligram doses in one setting because you're just kind of wasting the CBD. So it isn't quite as effective. I call it CBD light for people that are just starting out. Maybe they just want to see what only CBD alone feels like. But generally, I recommend broad or full spectrum products for most of my clients. Okay, terpenes. Cannabis would not be cannabis without the terpenes. I'm sure most of you have heard of indica and sativa strains. When we talk about cannabis and we talk about their effects, the effects are coming largely from the terpenes. Of course, you're getting an effect from the CBD and from the THC and the combinations thereof and all these different ratios. But without the terpenes, you really don't have the uplifting effect or the relaxing effect that some of these products have. So let's see, they give the strains their flavor, their smell. They work in synergy with all the other parts of the plant to contribute to the beautiful entourage effect. They actually when you inhale a terpene, the effects can be felt in seconds because you are absorbing it through your olfactory system. So it's very immediate. And of course, because everybody knows about essential oils, you put essential oils in a diffuser, and that's how we experience aromatherapy. Well, it's the same thing with the terpenes. When you combust cannabis, you're combusting the terpenes and you're instantly inhaling them into your system. They're beautiful things. So these are the most popular terpenes that are found in our products and in the cultivars that we grow in New England. So myrcene is basically a neurological sedative. If you eat a mango and then smoke cannabis, the effects of the cannabis will last longer because there's a lot of myrcene in mangoes. So myrcene is much more sedative. It's anti-inflammatory. It can be found in hops, which is cannabis's cousin. Beer and cannabis are cousins. Caryophyllene is another terpene that acts almost like a cannabinoid in your system. It potentiates the other cannabinoids, in other words, helps them work better. It is also anti-inflammatory. It helps all the other cannabinoids bind to the receptors. You definitely know the smell of it if you've ever stuck your nose in a jar of black pepper. Fun fact, if you eat too many edibles, THC edibles, you can actually crack the pepper in your hand and inhale the terpenes from the black pepper, and it will actually calm you right down. Limonene, that's a very, very popular terpene that's found in lavender. Very relaxing. Let's see, limonene is very uplifting. So think sour diesel, super lemon haze, cannabis strains that are known to help with memory and concentration and focus will have a lot of limonene. Pinene, same thing, helps with concentration. Supposedly it helps with your memory. And that can be found in pine, rosemary, eucalyptus. So yeah, it's pretty cool that cannabis is just another amazing plant that has all the same things that you find in nature and tons of other plants. So if we have any questions, now would be a good time. If anybody has anything they'd like to ask. Say that again. Yes. So we do it all. So we are a full service consulting agency. We have an artist in-house that can help with label design, logo design, and then I am a product manufacturer. So my businesses are in Massachusetts, but our manufacturing is in Connecticut. Because in Massachusetts, we cannot legally make gummies or anything consumable. So we had to move our operations out of Massachusetts and into Niantic, Connecticut. So that's where my manufacturing partner is.
Why do you
Yes, so we have over 100 different SKUs, and we will put elderberry, echinacea, arnica. If you have an inclination that you want to put L-theanine in something, We have private label, where we would make a custom formula for you, and then white label, which is you can pick from over 100 SKUs that we already know work. So 30, 35, I would love to help you. That's basically what I'm here to also let you know, is that CBD is projected to grow 21.2% by 2028. So guys, this is here to stay. And with the CBG, the CBGA, and all of the cannabinoids that are being researched and isolated, basically every single day I realize how much I don't know about cannabis, which is why I'm going to be doing this until the day that I die, which I'm really happy about. So that's my entire mission in life, is to illuminate the ways that hemp can save the world. I wrote my first 5-page paper on this in 1991 when I was in 7th grade. So I would say I've been an activist since I really realized that it was called cannabis and not marijuana, and that marijuana was actually a derogatory term for this beautiful plant. I became very, very passionate about it. So again, cannabis brought me into coaching. I'm a business coach and a wellness coach, because when you start selling cannabis or cannabis-derived products, you get into healthcare, whether you like it or not. So I also run a 501c3 nonprofit called Green Network Providers, and I work with an advanced practice nurse, nurse practitioner, and RNs, and we basically have people coming into my shops, and when they start spewing off all the medications they're on, they get a consult with a nurse, and then we can help them a little bit more appropriately, because again, I went to communications college, not to nursing school. So yes, be prepared if you're selling CBD that you may need some support in order to help your customers, really integrate this into their lifestyle. So if you come over to booth 3035, I can go through with you all the different packaging options that we've tested over the years. Of course, we have, our master batch has the full panel. So I always know that the oil is clean. And then I actually am really looking for small to medium-sized companies that want to try out a bunch of stuff and want to have fun with this. Because I've had an amazing time building my company, and I think I've learned a lot, and I have a lot to offer and share. We make all the things, gummies, capsules, and we can help with everything from security to education, marketing, and so come see me at booth 3035 if there's other questions. Thank you for coming to my talk.